I don't need validation to tell me who I am. I'm human. I live the situation, and I've learned to understand. There's no such thing as limitation.
Karen,
Okay.
and you are at Nevis Heritage Village. Welcome to Nevis Heritage Village.
Thank you.
Nevis Heritage Village is situated at Fothergill Estate. The original owner of this estate was Mr. John Fothergill, and he was from Middlesex, England. He was the original owner, but not the only owner. The last owner recorded was Mr. Maloney, and Mr. Maloney was from Barbados. He was of Irish or English descent. This estate was once a sugar plantation. So the stone wall building you see going along there, that's the ruins from the sugar plantation. And it was also a place where cotton was ginned. But behind this building, we have the ruins from the cotton ginner. Okay? Sugarcane and cotton were the two dominant crops on the island back then. The Carib Indians were among the first set of settlers here on Nevis. And those two tattoo pots represent like what they used to live in when they were here. The Carib Indians, they were hard working and creative, but they were not slaves to the island. The slaves were those who came across from Africa and came here to Nevis, because Nevis was then known as the headquarters for the slave trade. Because of our geographic position, easy access. So the slaves were brought here. Then the neighboring islands would come and purchase their slaves from here. When the slaves came here, we might say that they had nothing of worth because they didn't come with any luggage. They came with their African culture, the African names, and the African language. When they came, all of that was taken away from them. They had to give up their African names or English names, like Harry, Henry, Philip. They had to give up their African language for the English language. In 1833, William Wilberforce from England, he fought long and hard for the abolition of slavery around here, and he succeeded because in 1834, slavery was abolished. After slavery was abolished, there might have been those who were born into slavery here, and having heard about Africa, where their parents came from, might have had a desire to go and see what Africa looked like. But by then, they would have lost their speech identity, and they didn't have enough money to make the trip. And so they were forced to remain here on the plantations where they would have worked. In remaining on the plantations, they were given the privilege to build houses according to the size of their family. Okay?
Yeah.
But the size of house they were permitted to build was that unpainted house over there. That's the size of house that they were permitted to build. They could not build anything any bigger. They could have built as many as their family required, but they could not have joined them. Why they could not have joined them? Just in case there was a falling out between them and the plantation manager, he would not argue with them, but he would ask them to leave. And they would have to leave with their house or houses. What they had to assist them in terms of movement was the oil drums that we have around here, that we catch water in, and the coconut trunks. So they would put them under and push and roll them to wherever they had to go. Bear in mind that the conditions of the roads were hardly roads, and they had to go up and down slopes. So they might have just preferred to bear with whatever on the plantation instead of having to move. On each plantation, there was a blacksmith shop. So we are now headed up to the blacksmith shop. Okay, so we're here at the blacksmith shop. This is called a bellows. And this was used to pump the air to help the fire to burn. So this part it will work up and down. Those are some of the stuff that were made in a blacksmith shop. This is called the anvil. This was used to shape the stuff on. And you know they had to be shaped while they were hot. We have here a branding iron. Do you identify the initials?
Is that an H?
Hmm?
Oh, JF.
JF for Mr. John Fothergill. And it's a branding iron that was used to brand the slaves to show ownership. Okay. In our village we have 5 houses, and in the houses we have artifacts. So we're now headed to the first house. Can go in if you've got a desire. As you can see, we have the single sewing machine. We have different sewing machines that I believe would have served different sewing purposes. That's a basket. We have the bath pan that was used for washing back then, and the washboard or the scrubbing board where persons would have scrubbed their clothes. And then we have the famous blue soap that was used for washing back then. Persons still use it nowadays, even for bathing. Then we have the galvanized buckets that were used to head water. We have the goose that was used for ironing, and the goose had to have lighted coals in it in order to heat it for ironing. And this hole is where the air would blow in to help the fire to burn. Then it gets too hot, you close it off. So then no air go in, so the fire will die down a bit. So then it will be cooler. Okay? Then we have the iron. This iron could have been heated on the stove, the coal pot back then, or the fire stone, or heat it on the stove. Then we have enamel bowl and enamel plate that were used for eating, and we have the enamel cup for drinking. Then we have the carpenter's bench, toolbox under there. Some of the tools are in the box, some are on the ledges, and some are hanged around in the building. In 2003, this village was created, and it was created to preserve our housing development. So that is telling you that everything in this village is a part of our history. When real families began to form here in Nevis, they would have started out in a house called a one-room house. It's a little smaller than one of those buildings over there. A one-room house would have housed at least 10 to 12 persons. It would be mom and dad and 8 or 10 children. For privacy for mom and dad, they would divide a little portion with a light cloth screen. Mom and Dad would be behind the screen on their jamba bed. The jamba bed is where they go to the hills and cut some sticks and create a frame. Cut some bed grass, allow them to dry. Get a piece of cloth and sew it up and make a sack. And stuff that sack with the bed grass. And that would be a mattress. The children will sleep on the other side of the screen on the floor on their lodging. Used old clothes. Defining lodging. Nowadays you see those young people wearing those jeans.
Yeah.
Tear up jeans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's high fashion to them. Back then, that would have been lodging. There is no way that one's parent would have allowed them to come out of the yard, to go anywhere in any jeans looking like that back then. Your jean got torn, they sew it. It tear again, they try to sew it. And then after it tear again, they might patch it. After that patch tears, then they throw it in the lodging. It's not going to be one anymore. So that is for you to sleep on.
Mm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The kitchen, the bathroom, and the toilet, they were not added onto the house. They were considered as insignificant. The toilet was a pit toilet. So that had to be away from the house. The bathroom was just something they created in order to get a little semi-privacy while taking a bath. And the kitchen, they were living in a wooden structured house, cooking on charcoal or wood. That had to be away from the house, just in case any sparks go up, the house will not burn down. Later on, they would add on something we call a drop shed. It had 3 sides, go alongside the main house, and had a drop down from the main roof like a shed. What that did was to create some shut door privacy for Mom and Dad. And then the children will get some more space. And that is how it was back then on Nevis. They would work, and if they desired to, they would add on more rooms, so they might end up in a 3, 4, or 5 bedroom house. Until 1989, most of the houses on Nevis were wooden structured houses. 1989, we experienced Hurricane Hugo. Hurricane Hugo destroyed lots of the houses, and when persons began to rebuild, they began to rebuild with stronger concrete structures. So as you go around Nevis and you see lots of big and beautiful houses, bear in mind that that is not the way it has always been. It is a proud accomplishment though for Nevisians, because at least 85 to 90% of those houses are Nevision owned. Like I said before, in our village we have 5 houses and they have artifacts. Artifacts that only serve to remind us of where we are coming from. The village is not just about the houses and the artifacts. We have our beautiful garden all around. And we also have a pond on the other side up there, beside the main office. So, I'm going to encourage you to just see how much of it you can videotape, so that at least I would hope that I was of some help to you.
Yes, you are.
We're headed to the second house. These mangoes would have been eaten by monkeys. Monkeys come in and eat them up. Okay, we are in the second house. Okay. Here we have Nevis' famous goat water pot. If you're in Nevis on a weekend, that's one of the treats. Goat water with goat meat, carrots, breadfruit is in season, and it's a well seasoned stew. Then we have the scale, weight and scale that we used back then. Some persons still uses it now, but at the supermarkets they have digital scales. Then we have another shape enamel bowl, also in different sizes. Then we have the ice cream machine. Back then, you couldn't go to any supermarket or shop or anything to get your ice cream. You had to make your own at home. They had the ice cream bucket back then, where they would have made something like custard porridge, and open this, put the custard porridge in that middle section, connect it up, and then they would put ice around there with grains of salt all around it. The grains of salt would help the ice not to melt too quickly. And then they would turn and turn and turn until they have ice cream. And that used to be the best ice cream. Then we have a glass jar here that was used for sorrel. You could have your sorrel stored in it. You could set up wine in it if you so desire, locally made wine for that glass jar. Then we have the grinders. Back then, there were no ground beef, ground chicken, ground turkey in the supermarkets. You had to grind your own stuff. And then we have oil stoves. We have the 1 burner oil stove, the 2 burners oil stove, and the 3 burners oil stove. And only persons, high society, maybe persons would have had that kind of stove. Other persons would have used the coal pot and 3 fire stoves. Then we have an oven that has to be heated on top of the stove. So it's a stovetop oven. This oven would have been used at functions like sports day, Mayfair, concerts, to heat hot dogs to sell back then. Then we have the kettle. These are the oils. This is the oil bottle where you would put the oil in, and there's a spring in the cover. You turn it down so the spring presses, and you open, and the oil will flow. And there's the wick. This is called a wick. The wick will get wet with the oil, and then you light it. This regulates how the fire will burn. If it's open too much and too much oil is going to it, then it's going to be all stutty, you know. Then we have the goose. Up there, the goose were used for ironing. After electricity came into being, they were turned into lamps, electric lamps.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Then we have the clay pot. Rastafarians like to cook in these. These are stuff from the Nevis pottery over at Newcastle. And there's a vase also from the pottery. We have flasks for food, flasks for water. We have the mortar and pestle. Back then, there was no blender, food processor, or chopper. You had to work your arm and grind whatever inside the screen until it was grounded to the texture that you wanted it to be. Then we have the good old grater, locally made grater. The holes were dug with a nail. And then put the board on and bend it, and you have your locally made grater. Then we have, this is a plane. Was used to shave the wood.
Oh.
Plane. Okay. This house is a 2-bedroom house. There's a big bedroom and a small bedroom. Here we have the urinal or the bedpan. And this is a patchwork sheet with scraps of cloth, pieces of cloth that might have been relieved back from other person's material. Put it together and make a patchwork sheet. Now I'd like you to feel the bed. Tell me how comfortable enough you think you can have on that.
Feel comfortable.
It's like a grass bed. Okay, come this way. So that's the big bedroom. And then we are heading to a smaller bedroom. So this is a small bedroom. I also have a patchwork sheet. And then we have the nightstand with the basins that were used with water from the picture to wash up at night before going to bed. Then we have a commode, a wooden commode, where grandma or grandpa will do whatever at night instead of going outside to the toilet, to the outside pit toilet. And then someone will empty it next morning, a wooden commode. Here we have a radio cassette player, stereo set that might have been used to play some gospel music on Sunday afternoon, maybe Jimmy. Then we have grandma's cabinet with her wares. And I know my grandma would have had a cabinet like this with wares, where the wares will be there all year round unused, waiting for the special someone to come, special someone that never comes. December, coming on to Christmas time, you take out the wares, you wash them, and you pack them right back, not used. Then we have clay dish, 2 clay dish from the Nevis factory. We have hurricane lamps that are used, work with oil. We have the dancing people lamp shade, the lamp work with oil also. And we have hurricane lamp up there that work with gas. This is another phase. Then we have a long time typewriter. Okay. This was used to flit bed bugs. Bed bugs. We have grandma's living room chairs. Here we have a scrap mat. Scraps of cloth. You use a hairpin and you pull the cloth through crocus bag. Crocus bag. And this mat would have been at the front door or under the center table. And then we have grandma's rocking chair. The rocking chair. And a jar to be used for whatever purpose you choose to use it for.
Guys, this is pretty cool.
Here we have the pit toilet. I don't know if you want to go on video.
Sure.
It has the setup on the top, but no hole is on the ground.
Guys, I'm running to see the pit toilet, even though I've seen the pit toilet before. But this is pretty cool. And here it is. This is where they took, you know, number 2 in the day. Guys, man, not gonna lie, it was nice. Man, enjoy it. And the place is so pretty.
Here we have a gas stove with an oven, and here we have an electric iron, a gas iron, sorry. Can you lift it? You see how heavy it is? Gas iron.
Can you use this for do? Little muscle.
Here we have another kettle, and then this is a meat slicer. Meat slicer. We have another sewing machine, another grinder. And this house has 1 bedroom. 1 bedroom, that's the nightstand. With a basin, fancy nightstand. And they have this where they pour the water, and I guess the water run out, and you wash your hand like you're washing it from up. Same glass bed. Switch for lounging. And then we have a stereo set, a radio, a gramophone that plays records. We have a box of records here, another hurricane lamp, oil hurricane lamp, gas hurricane lamp. And we have some tea cups. Those are mini teacups. Yeah, and then we have Grandma's wagon with her wheels. And these are for decor. The Nevis famous bamboo fife. And then I think those are like shades for light. Then it can be used to light. See, I think that was used to dip it on the bill of water. Final house. It's like a one-room house, but it's just that it's bigger than it should be. It's bigger than it should be. Has the bed here on this side, and it has the light screen curtain. It has the chamber pot, or potty. And then this would have been Grandma's trunk or treasure chest, where she would store her stuff that she doesn't want anybody to interfere with. Okay. Then we have some calabash. These are grown on trees. They are green, round. They are picked and cut into. You scoop out what's in it and throw it away because it cannot be eaten. You scrape it, sandpaper it. Some persons decorate it. Rastafarians love to eat from these. In our village, when we have functions, there are those persons who come and ask for the calabash. We have a small one that we use when we have corn, meal, and steamed fish, or cassava musa and steamed fish. So it's used to round up the cornmeal or the cassava musa and turn it over inside one of the bigger calabash, put in your fish water and your fish. Okay? This white from this dress is from flour bag. Flour used to come in cloth bags, and persons would have used the cloth after they have removed all the writings and all of that. They use the cloth to make clothes, so they didn't throw it away. That is a blowtorch for welding. That is a cowbell. Now we're going to head up.
Could you take?
From the cotton ginnery. We wouldn't pour in some cotton ginnery. And then we have the pan down there, so you can go down and videotape.
So guys, I'm heading to the pond. I hope I don't fall. So this is the pond, guys. This is the pond. I'm not telling you, first I see them green took me and I realized we're frog in the pond. I only saw them in movies. Oh my god. But yeah guys, this is the pond. I enjoy myself. The tour was good. I'm tired though, I'm thirsty, I'm hot. So guys, thank you for tuning in to Deirdre's World, and thank you guys. I hope you enjoy me taking